my coworkers was sick in the hospital bed, and Steve Jobs had sent him a personal message. The thing that impressed me most about working at Apple was really how much we cared about customers. Good morning and welcome back to the Automated TV. I am your host, Tak Lo. We've got a wonderful email newsletter as well at theautomated.co. So remember to subscribe. Thank you for 4 more subscribers and followers here on the YouTube channel. We're 147. Big ups to everybody. And we're 3 more to 150. So let's try to get that today or tomorrow. Let's just get it today if we can. And then we can be done with that goal and then we move on to the next goal. So today we've got a lot of news centered around WWDC, most of it, Apple's WWDC. We covered it a little bit yesterday as well, but we're going to go into it a little bit more extensively. We broke the news yesterday right after, about an hour or 2 after the event happened, but we're going to go in depth today, and we've got other news as well. So it's going to be a pretty busy broadcast today. So let's get started. Okay, so today, as we said, it's going to be Apple WWDC. It is quite a lot here. So I'm just going to go through it kind of on a high level, what I tend to think, and then we can go into some of the specific items and some of my reactions to some of the specific stuff that they announced. So first off, this is Tim Cook's final WWDC. So I almost missed it as well. I watched pretty much the entire thing. I didn't actually see his final thing. I saw him come on in the final bits, and then I didn't actually end. So I'm actually going to go back to the video and actually watch him come back and talk a little bit about it. So thank you, Tim Cook, for everything. I was going to say something about Tim Cook. Yeah, I'll say something right now. I think Tim Cook, I actually used to work at Apple. So, gosh, this is 20, 30 years ago. I was a consultant in DC, Washington, DC, and I think the store number was 007. This was in Clarendon in Virginia. Tyson's Corner, I believe, is actually the very first Apple store in the world. I'm pretty sure it is. Tyson's Corner is the very first one. So I think Clarendon was number 7. And I had worked at the Apple store as I was a defense consultant. I was kind of doing it moonlighting because I actually wanted to see what Apple was about. I'm a natural learner. I'm inquisitive. I always want to know. I actually forgot my order, right? I always want to know what's going on. And I really was fascinated by Apple and what they did and how they built things. And I figured, look, I might as well learn from it. Might as well get paid. It wasn't very much, but might as well try to get paid and learn something about how Apple does its marketing and its product and how they think about all these things. So I worked in retail for about 1.5 years, and it was an absolutely fantastic experience. I got the t-shirts, I got some discounts, but it's really, I got to understand what the Apple ethos was. And back then, I don't remember, it was still Steve Jobs. I mean, we had heard rumors of Steve Jobs, being sick and him being actually a very, very nice boss. For example, my coworkers was sick in the hospital bed, and Steve Jobs had come in and sent him a personal message so we heard small touches like that. And the thing that impressed me most about working at Apple was really how much we cared about customers. So obviously we had metrics to sell, and they were centralized in a sheet. We could see it, but nobody really checked. Everybody really was about customer first and what the issues they were saying. And actually, we would even not deny somebody a sale, but we just say this sale is not right for you, or this product is not right for you, if it truly wasn't right for you. So it was benefits first, and we were just trained over it. Again, we had the metrics, but then just the way the culture was in that particular store was really focused on benefits and customer benefits. And so I really learned to sell through that way and really appreciate the Apple ethos. And so that's my experience with Apple from Steve Jobs all the way to Tim Cook. And I never really worked under Tim Cook, but I always felt he wasn't the visionary. I thought he had the toughest job because he wasn't the visionary. He was a product focused person. In fact, I didn't hear about him until he took over. So I was initially skeptical. But now that I take a step back and think about Tim and the products he came out with, I wouldn't say they were visionary, right? I think the most visionary product probably in the suite was AirPods and probably Vision Pro. And other than that, I think it was all incremental kind of improvements. But having said that, I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think he's built Apple now to be such a powerhouse. That those incremental steps, I think he understood that was his advantage and that was what he was good at, rather than the visionary stuff. And he's built it in a very different way. And I think if you step back and think whether he was successful, I think one has to say that he has been successful. Again, very different leader from Steve Jobs, very different leader, visionary, but he did it in his own way. He just really didn't step out of line from what he was good at. He was very good at product. He was very good at incremental improvements. He never listened to anybody else and the analyst saying you need to be a visionary, whatever it may be, and had delivered. So all in all, as an ex-Apple employee, I think good on him. And I think it's been a good run at it, honestly. And I would say congratulations to Tim, and I think a job well done. And thank you for your service to Apple. Okay, other than that, let's go into it. That was a bit, I didn't expect to be talking about that. Okay, so finally, the big thing is really Siri. So Siri finally gets a real brain. So Siri AI, and they rebranded to Siri AI rather than just Siri, which is kind of weird. Not quite sure why. Is officially a real functioning ancient assistant powered by Google Gemini and Apple's next-gen foundation models. So that I didn't know. I didn't know actually they combined the two, and visually they had the two coming together. And I think it's Apple's old foundation models combined with Google AI rather than a kind of swap, if you will. So the new Siri can actually hold a conversation, draw on real-world knowledge, and read what's on your screen, take direct action across your apps. And so I thought that was pretty powerful. When I looked at it on the video, it seemed like more than what it was doing before. But I don't know. It was underwhelming. It was all the stuff that Siri was promised to be, but just never executed well. And so I was underwhelmed because of that. Now, Siri now lives inside your dynamic island. It's got its own app, so it's a standalone app as well, which you can, just like ChatGPT or Claude, right with Siri, you can now draft emails and messages. I didn't actually see that demo. I'm sure it was there, but I just didn't see it. And then it's hitting macOS and watchOS as well, so it integrates with Spotlight, and you can actually go across the product ecosystem. And this is everywhere. So Safari messages and the phone app all got this. And the privacy. It did talk about privacy. Privacy is non-negotiable. SVP Craig Federighi, he looked actually very, very good. This blue shirt looked very good, and it was just strolling across the Apple campus, which was quite powerful. Pretty interesting. Some of the lighting I wasn't a fan of, but Craig looking as young as possible, if maybe not younger, on the plastic surgery. So he had promised that your data is only used to handle your specific request. Third-party experts can verify that promise at any time, and privacy is non-negotiable. So that's pretty cool. Photos is coming for Photoshop's launch. 3 brand new AI editing tools inside the Photos app. Reframe, I looked at this. Frame, extend, and clean up. Reframe magically adjusts a photo's perspective, as if you have physically moved the camera when you originally took the shot. Extend, use the generative AI to expand your images. And clean up, it removes background distractions with terrifying realistic infill. Some of these features sounds like it's already in Photos. I haven't really used it. Reframe sounds like something like when you do live, right? You take a picture, it kind of moves slightly, and it probably, because of that, you can actually reframe some of the stuff. But I haven't used it. Maybe there are already in the Photos app. Let us know in the comment section whether that's true or not. But yeah, those are the things that you can do with Photos. Now, put it all together. This is all part of iOS 27. So all this AI stuff, the Siri, the Apple Intelligence, all the photos, the integration across all the different apps, it's all part of iOS 27. And iPhone 11 owners are still invited to this party. So iOS 27 runs on every single device from iPhone 11 onwards. And this is the biggest iOS rollout in Apple history. And photos now load 70% faster, airdrop is 80% quicker, and multitasking is silky smooth. So I think that's great. So I don't know about photos loading 70% faster. Didn't notice a lag, but I think airdropping 80% faster. That's fantastic. And multitasking is silky smooth, which is always a good thing as well. And so the other kind of juicy iOS updates we had, search is entirely rebuilt. AI detection went system-wide. Shortcuts speaks plain English. Parental controls got strict, and health app added perimenopause support. Out of the 5 parental controls seem to have a lot of airtime. So they probably had about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes about it. So parents can lock down exactly what their kids can call, who their kids can call, what apps they can open, and what sites they can visit. I saw that as well. So that seemed to be a big thing, which is good. And then I think they also talked about liquid glass redesign. They also spent, 3-4 minutes in the beginning, actually talking about this new design interface. Liquid glass got a redesign, and it's like all throughout the whole ecosystem. You can use a slider to tone it back a little bit less or a little bit more. So it's a little bit more liquidy and a little bit less liquidy, which is kind of cool. It's not really for me, but I appreciate the fact that they actually had this stuff and they were talking about it, which I thought was pretty good. So yeah, and finally ended up with Tim Cook saying goodbye. So again, I'm going to have to go back to the video and watch him actually saying goodbye. Like I said in the beginning of the address or the broadcast, I was, Tim Cook has been wonderful. So thank you, Tim. But I'd love to know in the audience, what do you think of Tim Cook's tenure? Has it been good for Apple? Has it been a good tenure, and has he been a good leader and steward for Apple or not? Love to know what you think. Okay, next section. We are going to talk about today. Oh, we're going to go straight to around the AI block, but we've got a lot of news. So, OpenAI files confidentially for IPO following Anthropic. So in this article, it actually comes from TechCrunch. Anthropic had filed for the IPO, I believe, about 5 days ago, and OpenAI had decided confidentially to file for an IPO as well, and they did it on Monday. And let's see, it's about a little more than a week. Sorry. So OpenAI was last valued at $852 billion post-money valuation, and basically, though, it's kind of interesting. They had filed, not deciding on the timing yet. And it may be a while because there are things we want to do likely easier as a private company, the company wrote, but it's a complicated set of trade-offs, and this gives us the option to go public sooner if that ends up being best. So they're not actually necessarily going to go public now, but they filed the paperwork if that had happened. There are some controversy OpenAI is racing to an IPO, even as it recently missed its own targets for new users and revenue. Its chief financial officer, Sarah Fryer, has reportedly raised concerns that OpenAI may not be able to support its massive data center spending. So yeah, it is pretty interesting. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's Anthropic. So Anthropic, I don't know if it's contingent like this. OpenAI, they said openly that it's contingent, and then SpaceX did not say that it's contingent. So we shall see whether that is true or not. Okay. Next piece of news around the AI block that I want to talk about is why Apple's slow and steady AI bet is starting to look pretty smart. Right. So we're going to go back to a little bit about Apple. Yes, I didn't actually make a comment. I did made a small comment about it. I think, sorry, still a little bit of cold. Siri, I talked about yesterday. Siri's progress has not been incredibly fast, right? It's been promised for a long time, and suddenly it's much better now with Google. That's correct. But it's a long time coming, and so it lacked the aha moment that it was promised when Siri was promised 10, 15 years ago, maybe about 10 years ago. So some people have said, oh, great, this is the finally aha moment. Some people are saying this is what we were waiting for all this time. I haven't worked with it. I haven't played with it, so I can't really say whether it's been worth it. I tend to think that this was always going to be the play anyway across the entire ecosystem. So is that what takes time? I don't know. But let's take a look at what this TechCrunch article says. Let's see. So actually in this article, it says nobody really knows. Are customers going to use these features? So nobody really knows whether Apple is saying that, people are saying that Apple is losing the AI race or not. Nobody really knows. And I think it's really because not enough people have actually tested the function. Um, will are Apple customers actually going to use these features? So I think so. I'm looking at the article. Right, but the keyword here is potential. So this version of Siri won't be available to customers until later this year as a beta. So it's still time. Will take time. So it's I don't know. This is a bit of a bait type of thing, right? It doesn't really actually say because no one's actually had their hands on Siri. So we shall see. I think the potential is there. I think Google Gemini makes a lot of sense. So you would be assured that it's much better than what it was before. The integration is what they were always going to talk about anyway across the ecosystem. That's just how Apple is. It's a closed ecosystem. So if it can do that, if it does exactly what it promised, which is across the ecosystem, and then it has the Apple and the Siri and the Google, then I think it's quite powerful. And I think I wouldn't say it's been worth the wait, but then I think it would be, great and great and customers would use it. Okay, let's take a look at Google cuts the price of its AI Plus plan and doubles the storage. This is very quick. Engadget, I don't use it so much. I don't really know, but the subscription now starts at $5 per month. And it was originally $8 per month. Now comes with double the storage, 400 gigs instead of 400 gigabytes instead of 200 gigabytes. So that's pretty cool. For those that use Google, let us know in the comment section below whether you think that's a good deal or not. Okay, Amazon now lets you design custom merch using AI. A lot of places let you do that. I believe Printify lets you do that as well. This is a TechCrunch article as well. And yeah, it just allows you to using AI prompts via the Alexa feature in its shopping app, which is kind of cool. And it's a new Amazon's print-on-demand service, merch on demand. So this is a big thing. This reminds me, we do have merch as well on our store. The link is in the YouTube channel. Please help and support us through that. So please buy some merch. We have custom design merch every week with exclusive items only available in that particular week with the quotes, interesting quotes from that particular week. So it's a bit of a time and place, interesting stuff, and you can memorialize it. And we think that's pretty cool. So definitely please support us by buying merch. Okay. Next article, the Meta AI chatbot bug exposes 20,000 plus Instagram accounts. So this is a Tech Buzz article. We talked about this in a previous broadcast. So basically, one of its worst AI security nightmares, hackers exploited the company's AI support chatbot to hijack 20,225 Instagram accounts. So basically, it bypassed two-factor authentication by asking the bot for password resets, and the system failed to verify email addresses match the target account. So basically, as for two-factor authentication, if it pinged the email and the email didn't respond or there was no email, then it would basically, it sounds like it lets you in. So I don't think this is what happened to me. Mine was on Gmail. I found what it was, by the way. I found it was malware disguised as Zoom, which makes sense. It's one of my few accounts that I actually don't very much use, but it's got my Google login. So it got me through Zoom. And I've used Zoom maybe once or twice before that incident. So I think that's what it was. Anyway, so this is what happened with Meta. So just be careful, change your passwords, make sure that the email is correct. Okay, next one. ChatGPT's memory feature silently poisons answers with bad data. This is a Tech Buzz article as well. We talked about this in, I think, yesterday's broadcast or the day before. So there's a new upgraded memory function. Instead of actually saying recall ChatGPT, it does recall stuff for you already. but it sounds like it stores the outdated assumptions and wrong details, incorrect personal details, and flawed data that quietly distorts every future response. So yeah, just trying to see what in a specific thing. Yeah, yeah, I think it's the AI treats these stored details with the same confidence that applies to factual knowledge, weaving them seamlessly into responses without flagging uncertainty. So it creates a big problem, right? Because then it's fact, but if it memorizes as wrong or remembers it wrongly, then it doesn't really do you any good, does it? So it treats it as fact when it's actually wrong. So I would say, just again, what do you see in AI? Trust but verify. Even if it's your own memory, trust but verify. Okay. The London becomes a robo-taxi battleground as Uber, Wave face Waymo. So, TechBuzz article: 3 autonomous vehicle giants converge on UK capital in first major robo-taxi competition outside US. Uber, Wave robo-taxis, and then Waymo. And essentially, Wave, UK-based AV startup. I actually never tried Wave, so that'd be pretty cool. I should be in actually London this week. I've got my London Business School reunion. So for my London Business School classmates, hopefully you have a good time. I'm sorry I'm not there, but drink loads for me, actually, and for yourselves. And definitely try Wave. So Wave, the UK-based AV startup that raised over $1 billion from investors, including SoftBank and Microsoft. Waymo is there, Uber and Wave. And let's see. You know, the thing is with let's see who will win. I don't know. Robo-taxis in London, I think, is a complicated issue. London, I'm a big fan of the knowledge, which is your native London black taxi drivers. They seem to know the roads. They seem to know, well, because they have to pass this thing called the knowledge, which is, I think you have to study for about a year before you can pass it. And essentially, it's probably about an hour exam, but it's essentially, I think it's a 1 mile radius from the center of London, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's not the center of London. From Piccadilly Circus, maybe. And it's 1 mile radius. You have to, they will pick, the test is simply, they will pick any spot within that 1 mile radius and say, you have to get from here to there within this radius. And then you have to, by memory, tell them, how do you turn left? Where do you turn right? Where do you go? In the shortest, fastest route possible. That's basically the knowledge. So everything's by memory. And what I find in London, there's 2 issues. One is there's so many side streets and the reception isn't the best. So sometimes you have to go to the side streets. Things change all the time. There's construction, and then the reception isn't that good. So oftentimes memory is faster, can be faster than Google. So if I use Uber, for example, I find that I go to the main roads, but I get stuck in traffic. But the black taxis take less time because they can go to the side streets, and they can also go in the left lane versus on the bus lane, but Uber drivers can't. So oftentimes black taxis are much faster, and they're just more pleasant anyway. So I prefer the black taxis. I've always admired them. I've always wanted to pass the knowledge. So as much as it's interesting about robo-taxis, I like black cabs. So good on you, black cabbies. Okay, momfluencers, next article: momfluencers turn ChatGPT into digital co-parent economy. I'm going to skip that. And stock markets fall as concerns persist over tech firms at heart of AI boom. So this is a Guardian article. Drops follow sharp sell-off of U.S. stocks last week, while oil prices seesaw after Iran-Israel exchange strikes. Why did it fall? It's the only thing that actually, is blowing up the stock market. Didn't really say. Investors are growing more nervous about the valuation of AI stocks. That was always the concern. So amidst the rising prospect of higher inflation and interest rates this year. Markets are now pricing in a greater likelihood of an interest rate rise from the Federal Reserve this year. Okay. All right. Interesting. Markets are now becoming more selective on AI. Okay. So that's probably why. Okay. It is what it is. Okay, on to the next section. We are going to talk about AI tutorials. We've got 2 videos today. We've got the complete beginner's guide to OpenAI's Codex app. I haven't used that much, so it'll be interesting to hear what you think, and how to use Perplexity AI, which this claims to be the best AI research tool. So please take a look at the video. Let us know what you think in the comment section, and which ones you prefer, and why do you prefer those specific videos. Okay, on to the next section. We've got the trending tools. We've got 4 tools today. For agentic monetization, Capify is a specialized marketplace for AI agent capabilities, allows developers and prompt engineers to package complex workflows, such as SEO audits or localized hook writing. For autonomous social teams, Fetra AI is a centralized orchestration manager. That's a mouthful. Built to function as an automated digital marketing team. For integrated canvas generation, Dreaming AI's ByteDance's flagship creator suite for multimodal asset design. I'm actually a big fan of Chinese AI tools. They're cheaper, open source. They're great. And for image to recipe matching, FridgeSnap AI.recipes is a computer vision utility designed for instant meal preparation. That's always needed. So please, if you use any of them, give it a try, give it a run, give it a spin. Let us know in the comment section below which one you prefer and which one you like and why you like them. Okay, next section, we've got the AI prompt. Today is about outsmarting the competition with one prompt. So here's how to use this prompt. Be detailed with your business. Well, let's just kind of back up and say, in business, knowing your competition isn't optional in survival. A solid competitor analysis. So it's a competitor analysis prompt. Okay, cool. So be detailed with your business info. Use the findings to reposition or outperform what you want and vis-a-vis your customers, and repeat periodically. So some of the prompt details are identifying direct and indirect competitors, summarize their USP offerings, customer reviews, suggest opportunities where I can differentiate my business, and then provide any insights and pricing models. Very, very cool. So I don't see anything wrong with this prompt. You can go into it. I would just kind of verify things a little bit. I know that's the whole point. You don't want to go back and verify, but like I said, right, AI has a potential to hallucinate. So definitely try to maybe take some time to verify the pricing, verify the competitors, just so that you have a better sense. For some of the main strategy things, you may not. For some of the specific items like pricing, you may want to verify just to make sure, but strategic intent usually is pretty okay. So pretty innocuous prompt. Again, verify some of the sources and some of the things it says just to make sure, but overall that's pretty good. And something that I use in my consulting days was kind of a matrix, right? So tell the prompt to come up to output in a matrix where it can be, let's say, competitors on the y-axis on the very top, and then on the x-axis, and the y-axis coming down, you can have all the different variables, and you can say which one is better and which side, and that way you can compare, contrast much more easily. Okay, thank you for listening to our broadcast today. In a quick summary, thank you again for 4 new subscribers. We've been doing absolutely fantastic. So let's break it and do 150. Please buy merch. We have custom merch as well. Our designer has been working super hard on it. I've seen some of the designs that look absolutely fantastic. So please support us and buy some merch. And thank you, Tim Cook, for everything that you've done. Great tenure at Apple. And as an ex-Apple employee, I do have to take a pause and say thank you for your service, and thank you for serving Apple in the way you have, with grace and dignity. And I think you would have known this, but I think you don't need it from me, but I do think that you've been a great successor to Steve. Steve would have been, I think, tremendously proud of what you've built and how you've taken Apple. And, from an ex-Apple perspective, thank you for that.